All right, very, very pleased to be joined now by PWHL Vancouver forward Sarah Nurse. Sarah, thanks so much for taking the time. How you doing today?
Hi, thank you. Good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Super excited to have you on the show. How excited are you for PWHL Vancouver joining this team?
Yeah, very excited. I feel like we've been talking about it for a really long time, so I want to be done talking about it and actually just get to Vancouver and start training, start playing together.
Yeah, so you've done some stuff with EA Sports before in Burnaby, but aside from that, like what's your experience with Vancouver?
I have very little experience in Vancouver. I've only probably spent like less than 48 hours there at a time. And so I was there this summer and it was beautiful. We got to go on like the water taxi. We were in Granville Island. We went up to a couple of the different mountains and did some fun like activations up there. But I don't really have a ton of experience. So I'm excited to get to Vancouver and obviously see the community and see what the whole city has to offer.
There are obviously so many elite players in women's hockey, but I think to most people in Canada, you've really emerged as the face of women's hockey. What's it like being the face of a sport, especially the last few years, where it feels like the popularity has skyrocketed?
I think that it's so great. Like you mentioned, like the popularity of women's hockey has like gone through the roof. And so to be able to turn on a Sportsnet or a TSN or a CBC and see like our highlights or, promoting the next game, the next matchup that we have has been like monumental because growing up, I never saw women's sports, let alone women's hockey at all. And so I think the popularity has just shown that like given the platform, like we can do some pretty special things with it. And, we're a startup. We've only been like, we're going into year three. And so I know that as we move forward throughout the next few years, it's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to continue to like push the bar and raise it.
I love that the PWHL has some cool rules that the NHL doesn't have. There's the 3-2-1 point system in the standings, the jailbreak rule where minor penalty ends when the shorthanded teams if the shorthanded team scores. The top seed having the option to choose your opponent for the playoffs. There are others there too. But out of the ones I mentioned, which one of those PWHL specific rules do you love the most?
Oh, I mean, like, I really like them all individually. Like, I think they're all really great rules. I obviously love the jailbreak. I think that like nothing fires up a team more than a jailbreak goal.
Yeah.
But I really do think the 3 point system like is game changing. I mean, like last year, I think it was New York that lost like 9 or 10 or 11 games in a row, and they weren't eliminated from playoff contention until the end of the year. So, like, I feel like that just goes to show how much 3 points really, really means, and I think that it's such an interesting point system and that I think it would be really cool to be integrated at different levels of professional hockey.
I agree with you about the jailbreak rule. That
Mhm.
jailbreak rule, that's so cool. That's like the
Yeah.
coolest thing. Okay, so the Olympics coming up this winter. At 2022, we all know gold medal, most points in a single tournament for yourself individually. Can you just describe how special it was to perform like that on the Olympic stage and just how excited you are for another Olympic opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics is something that you dream of as a young kid, and so to be able to be there, it was such a different Olympics with COVID and everything that was going on, and so not having family and friends made it completely different and completely interesting. So it really was like our team just banded together, completely in it together. But I mean, that tournament, like it was like we had lightning in a bottle. Our team was firing on like every cylinder possible, and it felt like everything our stick touch one in the net, and like that's a really good feeling to be in that flow state of just like complete. I don't want to say it was easy, but like it just felt like we were at ease. And so I just think like that Olympics was so special for so many different reasons. And I mean, so many of my teammates had incredible performances, but to have the prospect of getting back there in Milan, it's something that's so exciting. And I can't wait, to have the opportunity to continue to try out for the national team and hopefully get a spot on the Milan roster.
A lot of expansion teams just across professional sports usually aren't very good off the hop, but I'm looking at your guys' roster and top to bottom, it's a pretty stacked team and it feels like on paper, if you guys are able to gel, you guys could be really good from day one. I'm curious what your take is on the team you guys kind of have with PWHL Vancouver and what your expectations are for what you guys can maybe achieve this year.
The expansion was definitely aggressive. I mean, protecting like 3 players per franchise, like that's pretty crazy. It's pretty unheard of. But The league made it very clear that they want competitive expansion teams. And I mean, this was their way of achieving it. And so being able to be a part of an expansion process, and then seeing the expansion draft actually happen and free agency happen, and then see how our team looks and how we start to shape up, like you start to think and you start to put pieces together, possible like pairings and line combinations, and it just everything starts to look good. But I mean, like you mentioned it, like we have to gel, we have to click, we have to have chemistry, and I think that's the most important thing. And so you're bringing together essentially, 20 new people who really haven't played together at all. And so that's, I think, going to be the biggest challenge, is making sure that we can come in, be on the same page, and be going towards that same common goal together, which I don't think we'll have a problem with. I'm fairly confident, having spoken to most of my teammates, my coaching staff. I'm really excited at the group that we have. There's so much depth. There's so much attack from different areas. And then I mean, in net, we're pretty unstoppable. We have some of the best goalies in the world, so super excited.
That gelling process, do you kind of take that upon yourself as one of the veterans on the team? Do you kind of look at it that way?
I think it's just a mixture of making sure everybody like feels comfortable. And I mean, we're all heading into a very new situation. There's nobody who's been there before. And so going in, like, I feel like we're all like first day of school again, trying to meet new people who we've played against. I mean, I've only played with a couple of the girls on the team. I know many of them, but I've only played with a few. And so it's really getting to know people off of the ice. What are they like away from the rink? And I think that's what builds like the character in the locker room, and that's what builds the culture. I really think that getting to know each other away from the rink, having coffee, going out to dinners, going for a walk, getting to know each other's dogs, little things like that are really what make you have that like trust and respect for each other.
For you personally, when did you first fall in love with hockey? Like you mentioned, didn't get to watch a lot of women's hockey growing up. What kept you motivated through the years where you didn't really have anywhere to play? Like where's your love for hockey come from?
I honestly, I don't know. I've always just liked playing hockey. I learned how to skate, and so I love to skate. That was like the most fun thing that I could do. But I just always liked playing hockey, and I've been good at it. And so every year it was like, "Hey, do you want to play basketball this year? Do you want to play volleyball?" And it's like, "Oh no, I like playing hockey. Like, let me continue to play hockey." And so for a very long time, it didn't necessarily like occur to me. Like I remember watching the Olympics play in 2002 when they won the gold medal. And that was the first time I ever saw women's hockey. So I was obviously very excited, but I obviously wanted to play on that team, but there weren't other stepping stones to really get to. So I just played hockey for fun for many, many, many years. And then I realized that I could possibly get the opportunity to have a scholarship. And so that was like my next goal. And then through that came kind of Team Canada things. And it all kind of, I guess, melted together the way that it was supposed to. But honestly, like my joy just came from playing hockey, and I didn't really have any expectations on a career.
From the outside, it really seems like we touched on it a little bit earlier, but the last 2, 3 years, especially since the league has kind of formed, it's done wonders for really growing the game, the popularity. I mean, even anecdotally, so many of my friends that only grew up watching NHL hockey have become hooked on, like, first to start with highlights, then watching games, and now that there's a team coming to Vancouver, they're so excited about buying tickets and going to games. It feels like there's been a huge level of buy-in that there maybe, like, it's a huge difference compared to, let's say, pre-COVID. For you firsthand, what's your experience been like? Does it feel the same way that it does on the outside, where it's hitting a new scale and a new level each year?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I feel like obviously through like social media, things can take on a life of its own. And so getting out there on social media, like obviously our clips are shown and different things that are shown, not on traditional media like news, TV. And so I think that's really helped, grow the women's game and grow women's sports in general. And then, I mean, from our standpoint, it feels different, I guess, but not at the same time, because we've always been doing this. We just haven't had a TV camera in front of our face while we've been playing for a very long time. So I really think it's the opportunity and the access. I think that as we've gone through the last 2 years, our games are broadcast on TV for people to see, and they don't have to go digging through files on the internet trying to see us play. I think that's the biggest game changer, is like you can be flipping through the channels on your TV and we're there. So I think the opportunity and the access is the most most important. And then I mean, like, we get recognized all the time. So I remember going to Vancouver last year and we did our takeover tour game, and people on the street were like, "We're so excited that you guys are here. We're coming to see you play." And I came into Vancouver with like no expectations. You know, they don't have a home team. Nobody was gonna know who they were, who we were. And so to have that, like, as we step off the plane, I think was pretty cool.
Yeah, what was your experience with that game? It was a sellout, and I think just even across social media, that was a huge moment where externally a lot of people realized there's a lot of demand for this in Vancouver. I'm curious for you as a player, what that experience was like.
I really didn't have any, like, expectations coming into Vancouver. We haven't really gotten to play in Vancouver a whole bunch. You know, the farthest west we usually get is Calgary. So getting to Vancouver, I wasn't really sure what to expect. But like I mentioned, like from the moment we got off the plane to our hotel to, you know, walking around downtown, and then obviously at the game, seeing that it was sold out, seeing the commitment that, you know, the BC hockey community had put into having us there was so special. I mean, I played for Toronto, and I don't think the crowd was cheering for us last year, so I'm excited to have them on my side this year. But I just think the response was amazing, and so we left Vancouver and we're like, wow, maybe this could be like an expansion spot because they really showed up and showed out for us. So very excited because I know that the best is yet to come.
I know I was telling you this before we started recording, but the Pacific Coliseum, absolutely great place to watch hockey. And I've never played hockey on Pacific Coliseum ice, but man, I'm sure it's a awesome place. So we're very excited to get some PWHL Vancouver games. Just as we kind of just talk about you for a second here, what's a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? You talked about the scholarship, you talked about goal setting, that type of stuff. What's a piece of advice you'd give your younger self as a hockey player?
I think that I would just say to listen to your gut instinct. I think that that's the strongest thing that we as people, we as women especially have, is your gut instinct. Somewhere deep down inside, like, you know, what the proper path is for you. And so, like, there were so many times that I would look left and I would look right and I would compare, you know, my path with somebody else's, but like that's so not useful at all. Your path and your journey is 100% uniquely your own, and it's special in its own right. And so I would definitely say, like, trust your gut, and like, comparison is the thief of joy. So don't compare.
So this is a fun question we like asking a lot of the players we have on the show is about how their kind of recovery process has changed over the years related to hockey, especially compared to 10, 15 years ago. The game has grown a ton in terms of normatech. Some players love, for others it's the sauna or steam room, or they love the cold plunges. For you, what's your recovery process? What's your kind of go to, and how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. I love a sauna. I love a Normatec, a leg flush. I really think that I would say my three biggest things are water, sleep, and I use these little devices called fireflies. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but you attach them to your legs actually, and they hook up to kind of like your nerve sensors, and it helps you recover in a
I
different way.
have
So
heard of this. I
okay,
have heard
yeah.
of these.
I got into them a few years ago for my strength conditioning coach in Toronto. Just with the travel, it really helps, and it essentially does the same thing as a Normatec, but without having to have the big boots. So I, like, will just be on a plane and I'll just like strap my fireflies on. So I say firefly, hydration, and then sleep.
Do those go just below your knee? Like, that's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of, right?
yeah, just
Okay,
below your knee.
okay.
Yeah,
It's so cool. I'm pretty sure it was on Shark Tank. I don't know. Maybe I'm
could have
confused.
been. Yeah,
I
they're
think
really
I think I
cool.
know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
That's
okay.
awesome.
Another fun one just to kind of wrap up here. You could hop in a time machine. Another fun one we like to ask some people. Time machine, okay? You get to watch any sports moment. What it doesn't even have to be hockey, okay? Live in person. You get to put yourself whatever seat in the house you want. Which moment are you picking?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say I would wanna be in Vancouver 2010, to see the women's gold medal game. I think that would be pretty cool to see some of the, like, Marie-Philippe Poulin and some of the other amazing women who I played with and look up to, seeing them have that moment on home soil would be really cool.
Love it. Love it. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time today. We'll see you soon. PWHL
Thank you.
Vancouver. We're excited
Yep.
for the new season.
We'll be there soon. Thank you.
Awesome. There she is. Sarah Nurse. We appreciate her time.